One of the questions I get asked all the time is, what's the best camera for shooting my web videos? It's a tough question to answer because everybody has different needs and cameras come in a broad range of costs and quality. Perhaps the best way to answer that question is to compare apples to apples. Let's look at 6 types of cameras that are commonly used for shooting web videos. To create a fair comparison, all of the cameras need to be pointed at the same subject and recording at the same time, thus the Rube Goldberg contraption here. We're using professional lights mixed with sunlight from the windows, although facing this array of cameras probably feels more like a press conference than an interview. The cameras we're using form a broad representation of gear, from a professional camera like Canon's XH-G1 to a DSLR, this is a Lumix GF1. They represent common cameras used for web video. For mobile capture, we have an iPhone recording video. This little consumer Sony camera records HDV. We have an iPad mounted in a video production frame. The 6th camera is a workhorse of web video, the Flip. And finally, a very patient subject talking about her dog.
Well, the kind of dog we have
Let's start at the top of the camera food chain and talk about how these cameras create crisp images. The Canon has an exceptionally fine lens on the front of it and creates sharp pictures. This is also true with the Panasonic DSLR. The advantage here is another nice, crisp, clean shot. The consumer camera does not have the quality of glass in the lens, nor does the iPhone, which has a single element and creates a softer image. The problem with the iPad is the lens is extremely wide. You would have to be very close to get a good-looking shot. Finally, the Flip is not as wide as the iPad, but the lens is still comparatively soft. One advantage to using a higher quality camera is the ability to manually adjust the exposure. Both the Pro camera and the DSLR have proper exposure on the subject's face, even with the bright windows in the background. There's even skin tone and good color. The consumer camera struggles between the bright windows and the darker room. The automatic exposure is trying to compromise. The Flip camera is the least successful, exposing for the bright windows, resulting in a dark shot. The iPhone does a better job of automatically managing the bright background. But because this shot has both professional lights and daylight from the windows, it adjusts the color for daylight, and the result is our subject is too orange. Your audience has to hear your story to understand your story. While all of these cameras come with microphones, I wouldn't use them for an interview. In our setup, we're using a lapel mic or lavalier. It's clear and easy to understand what she's saying.
A chance to spend some time with my son as well.
But compare it to the audio from the camera mic.
So we take a walk, we throw the chuck it. The dog loves to chase the ball.
It's boomy and echoey because the camera picks up the reverberation in the room.
Do the chuck it. I like to bring him to a particular park where he doesn't like to swim. He won't get all the way. He'll get chest high, but he won't go all the way in. But he loves the water.
Always use an external microphone.
He wants you to throw the...
It'll even help something like a Flip camera.
If it's too far out, he won't go. But he loves to run through the water, so we do that.
The final consideration in choosing a camera is understanding how it handles available light. Turning off our lights forces the camera to adjust to the available light in the room. The dark and contrasty video is a common look to many web stories where folks don't have lights. These cameras are constantly and automatically adjusting the exposure to what they think is correct. Relying on light that's available in the room often results in boring and flat images. When using lower-cost solutions like the iPhone and the Flip, it's best to work to avoid bright backgrounds and overhead lights. This comparison between cameras is not to recommend one camera over another or one company over another. Rather, it's to help you compare image quality so you can include it in your camera choice going forward. Whether it's a professional camera, a DSLR, a consumer camera, something like the iPhone, the Flip, or if you're looking for a solution that includes the iPad, you have the opportunity to compare apples to apples, to look at the cameras side by side and get a feel for what's best for you.
We thought about hazmat, that was one. which I kind of like still.
without having to construct something that looks like this.